Hello, welcome back to our show. I'm here with Gio, and this is our favorite topic, talking about fantasy sports. It's one of the things we do best. Between us, we have 6 fantasy baseball championships.
This is like that Kobe Bryant stat where it's like Kobe Bryant scored 63 points and Kwame Brown scored one of them. That's how I currently feel with that stat.
We don't count last year's because it was a shortened season. That's why.
No, that's not a championship.
It's not a championship.
That was for fun.
It was for fun, but it was a win nonetheless. So, but in that case, 4-1. So, Gio, sufficiently introduced this topic. Because we give ourselves some kind of we shoot ourselves in the foot to start this season. We trade away all our draft picks. Who are you looking at and adding to make your team as competitive as it always is?
Well, like you said, we started off 0-1. As of now, I am on pace to beat James pending a complete collapse tomorrow. So how I did that, I've done a couple of things. So
first of all, you got James to trade more picks than you.
He traded them for Cody Bellinger. It was not my decision.
No, you Jedi mind tricked him.
Oh, yeah. It was all my fault.
Oh,
obviously.
You. Absolutely.
So what I've been doing to try and keep my team afloat, or at least competitive for this year while I weep in my sorrow of no draft picks, is I have been looking at certain players that are, riding a current hot streak, whether it be a hitting streak or pitching like an ace for a short amount of time and then dropping them when I can. So some names that people should be looking out for. My first pick is somebody I currently have on my team, Jed Lowry, who is batting .360 with 12 RBIs and 10 runs. He is third in position rank in points for his position, 51 points in point leagues. And, yeah, he's currently eligible to play second base, too, because when the year first started, he was a DH only, and now he's playing at second because the A's are slowly getting him back on the field. So he's got dual eligibility in that regard if you count DH as anything, honestly. And then I'm going to go to another player who I think is starting to heat up at the right time. That's Jazz Chisholm. He's not doing great when it comes to like his overall stats, but he has had some pretty decent hits as of late, including a nice double-decker shot off of Jacob deGrom last week. And it only shows he's got great bat speed. His speed on the base pass is going to get you some more stolen bases, and he's going to get everyday starting time. Easily a nice pickup for a deep league or somebody that's having IL issues like all of us are currently. I've been looking at some prospects to stash on my bench, whatever I have available, until they're called up, because keep in mind the deadline for the service time is coming up in a week or two, which will mean that all these players are probably going to get called up at some point if those teams need them. One that could be called up now is Jared Kelenic of the Mariners. When Kevin Mather said that, that immediately makes me think that they're going to call him up when the service time deadline's passing because, one, the Mariners are trying to keep up with the rest of the AL West, and Kelenic's been killing it in minors and spring training. On the pitcher side, a couple of names come to mind. Somebody I picked up because Long Island, Ward Millville High School specifically, is Steven Matz. So he's currently on the Blue Jays, first year with the team. His first 3 starts, 2-0. 1.46 ERA, a .89 whip, and 13 strikeouts, and he's gone 6 innings in each start. So you're getting innings, not giving up any earned runs, 1 earned run per start, and at least 5 strikeouts per, appearance. Another one is Casey Mize. He's pitching pretty well, and he seems to be available in like a lot of, 2/3 of the leagues that I see on ESPN. He's one of the guys from the Detroit Tigers system. And he was showing flashes of his potential last year, and he's mixed his pitching arsenal with more four-seamers, few sinkers, more splitters, which sounds like Garrett Cole when he went to the Astros, more focused on the high fastballs and less focused on the sinkers, and it's kind of working so far. So somebody you can definitely trust at the end of your rotation. And then for relievers, I might be saying his name wrong, so forgive me, people, if I do. Emmanuel Clase from the Indians. closer for them now. He's given up no earned runs in his 6 appearances so far this season. He's got 7 strikeouts and 3 saves, a .94 whip, and he's available in over 55% of leagues on ESPN.com. He's ranked 18th in relief, which is not bad for a free agent pickup. Speaking of free agent closers, my last one to give, since I want to give Adam some time to shine here, is Lou Trevino of the Oakland Athletics, who has currently got a .93 ERA, 2 saves, 9 strikeouts, and a .72 whip. He is 6th in relief ranking in terms of stats on fantasy, and is available in he's only picked up in 24% of ESPN rosters.
So I've got a couple. First of all, stick with Julian Merriweather. He'll be out for a little while, but he was a fantastic closer before the injury.
Yes,
he will be back probably a month with an oblique issue. Probably a month, maybe a little bit longer, but still worth it to stay because you never know how Rafael Dolis is going to do.
But Adam, with Julian Merriweather out, who do I pick up in fantasy to pick up his replacement?
Well, if you really want to pick up somebody as his replacement, you can pick up Rafael Dolis. He is going to be the closer. Jordan Romano will be the closer when he comes back. He's got an elbow issue, expected to be short term, only a couple of games. Go with both of them and then drop whichever one doesn't end up sticking with saves. Generally speaking, though, pitchers are where I tend to find my wins. Except for the fact that this year so far, most of my points have been coming from my batters, and it's a lot of fun. So starting off, and only owned in less than 60% of all leagues, is my boy Yadier Molina. He's having himself quite a year so far. He's having himself quite a day today. He's got 2 home runs and a double. He's batting .310. .316 over the past week. It's going to be a fun time for Molina. He's having a great year. Only better with age, just like fine wine. Another one, owned in more leagues, but still not enough leagues, in my opinion, is first baseman Jared Walsh for the Los Angeles Angels. He's having a great start to the year. 29 total bases and 13 RBIs. That's a great way to start. Oh, and only 8 strikeouts so far. And finally, one other person to look at, which I'd never heard of him until this year when I saw how he was doing. Phillip Evans, third baseman for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pittsburgh, we all know, not going to have a great year, but through the season, he's batting almost .330 with 3 home runs and 5 RBIs. His OPS is over 1,000. This guy looks like a great ad. But then you get to pitching, which is where I really like to do things. I drafted this guy. He's looking like a steal. Alex Reyes. Projected at one point to be one of the top starters in the league, had some injury issues. He is now arguably one of the best closers in the league. He's only got 3 saves, but the idea is for him to get long relief, not necessarily go for saves, but he's starting to transition to the closer role. St. Louis at the start of the season had said the goal was to get him up to 100 innings pitched so that he could be ready for a starting role full-time next season. Instead, they seem to have found a closer, which is good because Carlos Martinez is now back in the starter role. We'll see where this goes next year. We'll see what happens for the rest of the year. But Alex Reyes is looking to be huge, and he's only owned in 64% of leagues. Brian Yarbrough had a bad outing, but he's still someone you should add, only owned in 1/3 of leagues across ESPN. Finally, Gio. We talked about the excellence at the start of the season of the Kansas City Royals rotation. So Danny Duffy, certainly an ad, only owned in 22% of leagues. Mike Minor owned in less than half as well. Jake Junis also owned in less than half of leagues. But Gio mentioned a pitcher with about a slightly less than 2 ERA. Gio, I wish to know how does a 0.00 and a 1.00 ERA strike you?
That sounds better than me.
Well, that's where Mr. Dane Dunning with a 1 ERA and a less than 1 whip, and Wade Miley with a 0 ERA and a half a point for whip come in. Wade Miley owned in 40% of leagues. Dane Dunning owned in less than 30. All fantastic ads. And finally, because they're coming off injury, I do want to shout out because my bonus piece of advice to fantasy experts was draft injured players. These guys are coming off injury. Go get them. Spencer Turnbull coming back from COVID soon. Mike Fiers coming off He just had an outing against minor leagues in the minor leagues against San Francisco's minor leaguers. And finally, Miles Mikolas or Michaelis. I'm not really sure how to pronounce his name. Sorry. He will be coming back soon as well for St. Louis. He looks to be doing well. Hopefully he can regain what he was thought to have had, not just for my fantasy team's sake, but for yours as well.
I will also add, since we're mentioning players coming off the IL, Brian Hayes is coming off the IL sometime within the next week or two. So what he could do at opening day, and he hit 380 to end the season last year in the 60-game season. And then Kyle Lewis is coming back on Tuesday or Monday, another Mariners outfielder. Definitely somebody to pick up because he'll be coming back pretty soon.
And also, keep an eye out for Mr. Brent Honeywell Jr. I willingly gave up my best pitcher just to get him because I've been so personally invested in this guy that I don't care. Keep an eye out for this guy. When he comes back up, he's going to be fun. He went 2 innings, shut down the Yankees with, I believe, no hits and 2 strike. Yep, no hits, 2 strikeouts, no runs, no walks over 2 innings. 6 up, 6 down. If you do that against the Yankees in your debut, I can't wait to see what else you can do.
I don't want anybody saying there's no free agents available. You can always find talent. You can always find people to ride the hot wave. You just got to be smart about it.
Considering I know something Gio doesn't.
Oh, boy.
I don't want to give it away until I have to. So that's why I'm not going to say it until maybe in the next couple episodes, or maybe I won't say it at all till next week. We'll see. But until tomorrow, when we break out a new segment, thanks for watching. We'll see you then.